And welcome back. I'm delighted to be joined now by Joe Garcia, who's the Vice President, I believe, of Sales and Marketing for a company called Emerald EMS. So welcome, Joe. Nice to see you this morning.
My pleasure. Well, Good to meet you.
Yeah. So I took a quick look at your website earlier on, and I've actually got maybe an image I grabbed from it this morning that we can look at, which shows some of the acquisitions you've been making recently. Could we have that up? There we go. So you can see along the top, you've been a busy guy.
Not just me, but yes, our team has been very busy over the last couple of years, for sure.
Right. So Bestronics, Veris, Celine Electronics, Emerald NPI, Data ED, and Data ED Canada, is that? Or China.
Yep.
Right. Wow. So that's quite a collection. So explain to me that, what was your strategy
Sure.
going forward?
So it's I should probably start at a high level, right? So Emerald EMS came together in I think it was September of 2019. So a private equity firm called Newwater out of Boca Raton, Florida, had this thesis to bring basically tier 3 EMS companies into a platform that allowed them to have the capital to expand,
Right.
To grow, to scale.
Mhm.
And so they did that primarily through acquisition. The first entities that were under that platform were Data Ed. And as you saw, there's 3 facilities. There's the standalone NPI facility, the production facility in Salem, New Hampshire, and then there's the China facility in Shenzhen.
Right.
So the Data Ed and Bestronics deals, if you will, closed practically on the same day.
Mhm.
And so that was the formation initially of Emerald EMS.
Right.
And then over the course of the next 12 months during this crazy pandemic, we were able to find 2 very good, very well operated organizations to put under the platform.
Mhm.
And that was Celine Electronics in Saline, Michigan, or
Yeah.
Electronics,
Yeah.
and Veris, which is in Brea, California.
Right.
So that rounded out the current infrastructure. And then if you didn't already know, December 30th, Newwater exited the company as our private equity partner, and now Crestview Partners out of New York owns us. So
Okay.
we're expecting more of the same.
I was going to say they must.
Yeah.
So then they must be coming with a second round of acquisitions in mind. I'm assuming. And is this to take this up into essentially make it a tier 2 company and concentrate on a specific market segment like high reliability applications, or what's the strategy in terms of technology?
Sure, very well said. Except the only thing is that we desire, and I know how the tiers work with regards to revenue.
Right.
We want to continue to call ourselves a tier 3. We want to provide the service level that a customer would experience at a mom and pop shop or tier 3, where it's very intimate, very hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to support the type of business, as you said, high reliability stuff in aerospace, defense, medical, complex industrial. But so if, I guess in marketing terminology, we'd like to be $1 billion tier 3.
Right.
Right. We don't chase. We don't want the race to the bottom on the margin thing. We want to satisfy customers. We want to provide value, but we don't want to necessarily declare ourselves a tier 2.
Right. I hear what you're saying, but I'm guessing one of the big things that you'll have gained out of this is, of course, the extra buying power, because the combined buying power of all these different small companies will be quite significant.
Certainly.
But what about, of course, the industry is going through horrible issues with supply chain shortages. How bad has that affected you, and how have you negotiated it, should I say, over the last 12 months?
Sure. So luckily, we're not chasing high volume stuff. So we're not looking for 20 reels of a part to finish a job. Mm-hmm. We're typically running lots of 200, 300, 400, or even smaller. So we've made a lot of diving catches for our customers over the last 12, 18 months. We've gotten bit too, right? It's almost impossible not to. But
right.
We brought on board a vice president of supply chain, to your point of kind of, okay, you've got all these sites that operate very well. They've all got supply chain leaders that are doing a good job. But Chris Lentz has come in and said, okay, well, yeah, everybody is. But now let's look at it at a global perspective.
Right.
And he's been able to get good relationships with distribution partners, with some custom-made commodities, printed circuit boards and such. And so we're managing through it, right? It's the high-touch stuff, so we're very intimate with our customers' bills of materials and what they need.
Right.
They've been very helpful in giving us more lead time, so our backlog has expanded, and we're working it probably just like everyone else, but probably a little bit more closely with our customers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, looking at the mix of companies you've got, have you been able to then expand upon the range of features that you can offer customers? I mean, some factories have extensive cleaning capabilities. Other ones got better coating capabilities. Um, how are you how are you dividing up the workflow?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that has been a big part of my focus over the first 12 months coming on board. Right, so as we acquired these companies, each company had sales people, and so they're now all integrated under the Emerald EMS sales team. But we had to do a lot of work to educate on exactly what you said. Okay, yeah, your site that you're very proud of, that you love feeding families in, is great. But you have this whole solution set now, right? And if a customer needs some specialized RF work,
Right.
then let's look at Celine because they've got an RF room.
Right.
If a customer needs clean room work, well, Bestronics has a 2,500 square foot clean room. So there's these niches that now we're educating the entire organization on, and we're trying to put the customer in the place where we have the best opportunity to support them long term, but also they've got to want to be in that region, right?
Right.
But we're in that education process now. We've got charts and things that we're getting pushed out to the various organizations. There's collaborative meetings amongst leaders to say, okay, this is what we do well here. Let's make sure we share that with everyone. And yeah, we're trying to make sure that we understand what the best solutions are in each site, and then making sure our customers are aware of that too.
Right. It's an interesting range of capabilities that you've got. Talking about the clean room and moving into the semiconductor side, I mean, are you seeing a bigger trend towards the advanced packaging side and integrating that into the EMS world?
We're not seeing that so much. Our clean room is like more for optics or just clean room assembly in the medical space. So we're not seeing too much in semiconductor. We do support a lot of semiconductor. Well, that segment is big for us. But what we just described, we're not necessarily see that bleeding into us, not yet at least.
Right, right, okay. Well, it's really interesting. So I guess I was going to say what's next. Well, apart from acquisitions, that's going to be pretty much the main story with the new private equity company.
Yeah, there's so there's a list, right? There's a list of companies that we're interested in. One of the great things that's happened very early in this new relationship with Crestview is we've already got a very good understanding of what is a fit. So we're very clear on the characteristics that would make a good fit for our growth, for our strategic objective to grow and expand. And so we're working that right now. Other than that, there's an organic piece to that as well. We have tremendous fortune to have customers that are Fortune 500 customers or otherwise leaders in their segment and who've chosen us to be their partner. And what we've not done a great job of in the past is saying, okay, well, let's leverage that relationship to get to another division or a different product line. Right. So the sales team and program and account management teams are really focused on kind of landing and expanding within that model.
Right.
So there's an organic opportunity. There's the acquisition stuff. Our leadership team is very busy, but it's one of those times in EMS with this thing coming together and it's moving so fast, it's a lot of fun. You don't always have to get a chance to have fun here.
Yeah, but one of the things, though, in the acquisition business, or merger business even, is very difficult, is being able to get the right culture match.
Very true.
And so, I mean, how have you negotiated that? I mean, because I'm sure that there's a different culture in a number of these companies. How have you managed to sort of bring everybody into the fold?
That's a good question. So, Vic Giglio is our CEO out of Data Ed, New Hampshire. He's owned a couple of CMs before, and he's one of those people that has his gut is spot on. And during the due diligence process, that is a big part of the assessment. Not only the culture, leadership team, will this thing gel? Is it already operating well, and can it? What kind of exponential growth or profitability can be expected if it's rolled under this platform, right? So culture is huge, especially if you think about the segment that we're trying to service, that we are servicing, and the desire to stay as tier 3. The culture is huge, right? We can't become bureaucratic. We've got to have the mindset of customer is first, and we've got to be a solution solver or problem solver by providing solutions.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So culture's big.
Okay. You got a big job ahead of you, Joe. I think you've done well so far. So I wanted to thank you for coming in and telling us about it today. And we wish you every success with the future.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks for having me.